So as it stands this morning, this is a very fluid situation, and sorry to bring along such bad news, but according to reports, actor Gene Hackman and his wife have been found dead in their New Mexico home. County Sheriff says foul play is not suspected, according to an article by AP. Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman, his wife, and her dog were found dead in their New Mexico home, authorities said Thursday. Foul play was not suspected, but authorities did not release circumstances of their deaths and said an investigation was ongoing. Hackman, 95, was found dead with his wife Betsy Arakawa and her dog when deputies performed a welfare check at her home around 1:45 p.m., Santa Fe County Sheriff Office spokesperson Denise Avila said. A statement from the St. Elmo office obtained by CBC News indicated that Arakawa was 64 years old. An email sent to the publicist by the AP was not immediately returned early Thursday. The gruff but beloved Hackman was among the finest actors of his generation, appearing as both villains, heroes, and anti-heroes in dozens of dramas, comedies, and action films in the 60s until his retirement in the early 2000s. He was a 5-time Oscar nominee who won for The French Connection in 1971 and Unforgiven 21 years later, again a Best Supporting Actor nod. Now, Hackman moved to the Santa Fe area in the 1980s, where he's often seen around town and served as a board member of the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum in the 1990s, according to the local paper, The New Mexican. Aside from appearances at award shows, he was rarely seen in the Hollywood social circuit and retired about 20 years ago. His last major on-screen role occurred in the 2004 comedy Welcome to Mooseport, which was filmed in Port Perry, Ontario. Although self-effacing and unfashionable, Hackman had special status within Hollywood. Heir to Spencer Tracy as an everyman, actor's actor, curmudgeon, and reluctant celebrity. He embodied the ethos of doing his job, doing it very well, and letting others worry about his image. Now, Hackman established his range in the first decade of his film career, from his breakout performance in Bonnie and Clyde, the farce of Young Frankenstein, where he played the blind man, the road movie Scarecrow, alongside other rising star Al Pacino, and as a secretive surveillance expert in a Watergate-era release, The Conversation. Later in his career, he switched seamlessly from dramas like Mississippi Burning, Hoosiers, and Crimson Tide to comedies like Get Shorty, The Birdcage, and The Royal Tenenbaums. He made no secret of his disdain for the business side of show business. Actors tend to be shy people, he told first comment. There is perhaps a component of hostility in that shyness, and to reach a point where you don't deal with others in a hostile or angry way, you choose this medium for yourself. Then you can express yourself and get this wonderful feedback. He was an early retiree for Hollywood after being a late bloomer. Now, he was 35 when he cast for Bonnie and Clyde and past 40 when he was first Oscar as a rules-bending New York City detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle in a 1971 thriller about tracking down Manhattan drug smugglers, The French Connection. In his later years, he wrote novels from the Hilltop Ranch that provided a view of the Rocky Mountains. Now, Eugene Allen Hackman was born in San Bernardino, California, and grew up in Danville, Illinois, where his father worked as a newspaper pressman. His parents fought repeatedly, and Hackman found refuge in movie houses, identifying with such screen rebels as Errol Flynn and James Cagney as his role models. When Hackman was 13, his father waved goodbye and drove off, never returned. At 16, he suddenly got the itch to get out. Lying about his age, he enlisted in the U.S. Marines. Now, in the early 30s, before his film career took off, his mother died in a fire started by her own cigarette. Dysfunctional families have sired a lot of pretty good actors, he said during a 2001 interview with the New York Times. Now, his taste of show business came when he conquered his Mick Fright and became disc jockey, a news announcer on his military unit's radio station. With a high school degree he earned during his time as a Marine, Hackman enrolled in journalism at the University of Illinois. He dropped out after 6 months to study radio announcing in New York. After working at stations in Florida, his hometown of Danville, he returned to New York to study painting at the Art Students League. Hackman switched again to enter an acting course at the Pasadena Playhouse. Now, back in New York, he found work as a doorman and truck driver, among other jobs, waiting for a break as an actor, sweating it out in the early 60s with such fellow hopefuls, such as one-time roommates Robert Duvall and Dustin Hoffman. Now, summer work at the theater in Long Island led to roles off Broadway. Hackman began attracting attention from Broadway producers, and he received good notice in such plays such as Poor Richard in 1964 with Alan Bates. Now, small roles in film and television ensued, including a brief turn in 1964's Lilith, which starred Warren Beatty and Gene Seberg. When Beatty began work on Bonnie and Clyde, which he produced and starred in, he remembered Hackman and cast him as the bank robber Clyde Barrow's outgoing and sympathetic brother. Pauline Kael in New York called Hackman's work a beautifully controlled performance, the best in the film, and he was nominated for an Academy Award as supporting actor. Now, his first starring role came in 1970 with I Never Sang for My Father, as a man struggling to deal with a failed relationship with his dying père, Melvyn Douglas. Even though he had a central part, Hackman was Oscar nominated as supporting actor and Douglas's lead. Now, Jackie Gleason, Steve McQueen, and Peter Boyle were among the actors considered for Doyle. Hackman was a minor star at the time, seemingly without the flamboyant personality that the role demanded. The actor himself feared that he was miscast. One of the first scenes of playing Popeye Doyle, The French Connection, required Hackman to slap around a suspect. The actor realized that he failed to achieve the intensity the scene required and asked director William Friedkin for another chance. The scene was filmed at the end of the shooting, by which time Hackman had immersed himself in the loose cannon character of Doyle. Friedkin would recall needing 37 takes to get the scene right. The film was part of a flurry of work in the early 70s for Hackman, including the corrupt cop in Cisco Pike, musician Chris Christopherson's first feature film role, the disaster effort of Presiding Adventure when he played a minister, and Night Moves featuring a young Melanie Griffith. Now, Hackman also resisted the role that brought him his second Oscar. When Clint Eastwood first offered him Little Bill Daggett, the corrupt town boss in Unforgiven, which is a partial lead, Hackman, who had played villains before, including as Lex Luthor in Superman, turned it down. But he realized that Eastwood was planning to make a different kind of Western, a critique, not a celebration of violence. The film won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in 1992. To his credit and my joy, he talked me into it, Hackman said of Eastwood during an interview with AFI. Now, for a time, he seemed to be in contest with Michael Caine for the world's busiest Oscar winner. In 2001 alone, he appeared in Mexican, Heartbreakers, Heist, The Royal Tenenbaums, and Behind Enemy Lines. In 1956, Hackman married Faye Maltese, a bank teller he met at the YMCA dance in New York. They had a son, Christopher, and two daughters, Elizabeth and Leslie, but divorced in the mid-'80s. In 1991, he married Arakawa, a classic pianist. When down on film locations, Hackman enjoyed painting, stunt flying, stock car racing, and deep-sea diving. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, rough news on the doorstep. We really don't know what happened, and it's not us to speculate. But the fact is, Gene Hackman's body of work and his respect by people of my generation and many generations will always last. I remember him being an actor's actor and a great personality. But like my dad said, he was perfect to play Superman. And he could play any type of role. He could play comedy or whatever. And he was kind of, he wasn't matinee handsome, but he was a handsome dude. So he was, a lot of people loved him. So Gene Hackman and his wife and his beloved pet, may you rest in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like our updates regarding celebrities' passings, let us know and like, comment, subscribe, or share.